Good evening. I'm Spot On Weather meteorologist Matthew Euler. Welcome to the weather map discussion for Friday, the 16th of September, 2022. On tonight's main title slide, we are heading towards that time of the year, folks. We're heading towards the fall season. The temperatures are starting to cool off at night more. Some parts of the northern U.S. definitely will start seeing some of these changes in the foliage on the trees, different color leaves. And it's a very exciting time. I always really did appreciate the fall season throughout my life, especially when I was younger. There was always those crisp mornings, and then, of course, get closer to Halloween, you got the pumpkins, and all kinds of good outdoor weather with high pressure. It's an exciting time of year for sure. Let's get to the discussion tonight. And we're going to start it off with a look at the enhanced infrared image here on the left, the satellite image, and what we're looking at overall tonight. Out in the western U.S., we're seeing a little bit of colder cloud tops indicated by the yellow coloring, generally across parts of Nebraska and South Dakota, and further westward in the parts of Idaho, as well as in the parts of central Montana this evening. And so with those particular colder cloud tops we see on the radar image on the right, we do have some showers and actually some pretty good thunderstorms there associated with this area over Nebraska and into parts of southern South Dakota. We do have some heavier showers and thunderstorms across that part of the United States this evening. Additionally, we do see some rain showers making their way up into parts of Wyoming, as well as parts of Montana this evening. Additionally, we see some showers, colder cloud tops across the upper Midwest. We do see some shower activity across parts of north central Wisconsin, across Lake Superior in southern Canada. Additionally, there is an area of colder cloud tops in this particular area. That's over the Florida Peninsula this evening, with a lot of tropical convection going on. See some heavier showers there over parts of Florida this evening, over a large swath of Florida. Looking at the surface analysis for this evening and what we have going on, generally we do see a area of low pressure over parts of Washington State, with the cold front extending in to parts of Oregon this evening. Additionally, we see an area of lower pressure across parts of eastern Wyoming and eastern Montana, generally to the east of the Rocky Mountains. That frontal boundary extending down into Nebraska this evening. There's that 1,009 millibar low pressure system. We do have those showers and fairly strong thunderstorms tonight across Nebraska in the vicinity of this frontal boundary. And additionally, we have a frontal boundary extending, making its way eastward from northern Wisconsin into parts of lower Michigan, and then right on into parts of New York State and Pennsylvania and to parts of Massachusetts. Cooler higher pressure is up over eastern Canada this evening, a 1024 millibar high, fairly strong area of high pressure associated with cooler air. Additionally, we have high pressure, which is just dominating the mid-Atlantic right now. In fact, in southeastern Virginia today, it was a gorgeous day. A high temperature, generally around 80 degrees. And wow, dew points were in the 50s. What a wonderful day to get outside across parts of the mid-Atlantic today with that high pressure firmly in control. So now let's take a look and examine the weather charts now for Saturday, the 17th of September, 2022. Saturday morning is on the left and Saturday evening is on the right. Generally showing you some stronger winds at 30,000 feet or 300 millibars in these green colorings, and especially the orange and the yellow colorings. Those are higher wind speeds as indicated by this legend to the right of each of these graphics. But Saturday morning, what we're expecting, the strongest winds, so we have a jet max there across parts of southeastern Canada, well to the north of the U.S. border on Saturday morning, 17th of September. Additionally, we have some higher wind across parts of southern and central California for Saturday morning. And then in general, what we have is on the right, this is Saturday evening, showing those strong winds, a little bit of a jet streak there, or jet max, going through parts of just south of the Monterey Bay into parts of California, south central California by tomorrow evening. Additionally, we see the main jet axis, some jet energy making its way northeastward towards parts of Wyoming and South Dakota. And wow, this is a really strong jet max here up over southeastern Canada by Saturday evening, where winds in this orange coloring will be blowing generally on the order of 100 knots plus there at 30,000 feet at the 300 millibar level by Saturday evening. Looking at the 500 millibar wind heights and vorticity for Saturday, 17 September, Saturday morning on the left. What we're looking at is a shortwave trough moving into the Pacific Northwest. There will be a shortwave ridge Saturday morning positioned from the Carolinas, working its way north-northwestward towards western PA into southeastern Canada Saturday morning. So the overall pattern is a shortwave trough, generally in the western United States, just off the Pacific Northwest, moving in, and then that shortwave ridge over the eastern U.S., producing that fair weather. On the right-hand side here for Saturday evening, we do see that shortwave trough starting to really pivot into the western U.S. coast by Saturday evening with some higher values of positive vorticity moving into parts of Oregon into northern California. So the trough remains out in the west Saturday evening, and we still see this shortwave ridge extending northward over the eastern United States, specifically along the eastern seaboard by Saturday evening. Most of the higher positive vorticity values are going to be located over parts of southeastern Canada, and it's no surprise because that's where our jet max is. So we have those divergent quadrants in the upper levels occurring in association with this jet max, and then you see the vorticity values are quite high up over southeastern Canada, indicating quite a bit of lifting. Looking at the 700 millibar vertical velocity and heights for Saturday, the 17th of September 2022. Here on the left, we have Saturday morning, and we're looking at the coloring here, indicating where we have positive vertical velocity. Wherever you see this color here, like the maroon coloring, or this orange or yellow, that indicates we have positive vertical velocity values, and that's generally associated with rising air motion in the vertical clouds and precipitation. So for the United States tomorrow, we still see the reflection of that shortwave trough moving into the western U.S. There was a little bit of a shortwave ridge showing up at 700 millibars or 10,000 feet over parts of the Intermountain West, and then another shortwave, a minor shortwave trough extending southward from North Dakota into the western parts of South Dakota. We do see a little bit of positive vertical velocity values across parts of Kansas and Nebraska, eastern Nebraska, ahead of that shortwave trough. Additionally, we see a shortwave ridge extending northward up the eastern seaboard for Saturday morning. Saturday evening, showing the shortwave trough, again, very much similar in alignment with 500 millibars. We see a shortwave trough moving into the western United States coast. Additionally, we see these positive vertical velocity values associated with clouds and precipitation. We do see the shortwave ridge once again showing up Saturday evening, extending toward the northwest from Kansas into parts of Wyoming and Montana. And additionally, there is a little bit of a shortwave trough there in the upper Midwest, a minor shortwave trough at 700 millibars with a lot of positive vertical velocity values ahead of that shortwave trough axis over Minnesota into parts of northern Wisconsin. Additionally, we see that shortwave ridge reflecting pretty much at all levels, all the weather charts tonight, up the eastern seaboard into New England. We see that ridge axis extending northward. Looking at the 850 millibar wind speeds for Saturday, 17 September, things are really getting a little bit more brisk at 850 millibars or 5,000 feet above the ground. As we're now working our way in towards later September, we're a little bit beyond the midpoint. See a lot of wind energy here across parts of the Texas Panhandle at 850 millibars up into southern Kansas, and those are strong southwesterly winds. Additionally, you see these green coloring. That generally indicates winds on the order of 22 to 27 knots, whenever we see this green shading here. So some gustier winds across the northern plains at 850 millibars, but the strongest winds will be over, Saturday morning will be over the Texas Panhandle into northwestern Oklahoma and south central Kansas. Looking at the graphic here on the right, the forecast for the 850 millibar wind speeds and knots for Saturday evening, showing those stronger winds persisting across eastern Kansas now into parts of Iowa. Very strong southwesterly winds across the Midwest at 850 millibars or 5,000 feet above the ground. Additionally, you see all the stronger wind energy confined to southeastern Canada, where the best dynamics will be occurring. Looking at the surface wind forecast for Saturday, 17 September 2022, Saturday morning at the surface, we have strongest winds off the California coast. So if you have any boating plans, keep that in mind. Additionally, we see a little bit of wind energy, some higher wind speeds across parts of West Texas into southern Kansas, into parts of the northern plain states. And then for Saturday evening, the highest wind speeds will be generally over the southwestern U.S. For parts of Interstate 80, you might see some higher winds, Interstate 40. Parts of western Texas as well. So in general, we don't quite have super strong winds, very, very strong winds yet, but that will continue. This will continue to increase as we work our way through the fall season, and that pressure and thermal gradient increases between the higher and lower latitudes. Looking at the precipitation forecast now for 17th of September on Saturday. What's it looking like for your Saturday if you have plans to go outdoors? If you have plans to travel across the United States, Saturday morning here on the left, showing mainly the rain shower activity confined to parts of northern Kansas into parts of southeastern Nebraska, as well as another additional area of showers on the North Dakota-South Dakota border into parts of eastern Montana for Saturday. Looking dry out west along Interstate 5, Interstate 15. And then you see some more heavier showers occurring just north of Lake Superior onto the Canadian side, that U.S.-Canadian border. And Florida, again, just remains unsettled down to the south here. A lot of thunderstorm activity across parts of the eastern Gulf of Mexico as well as the western Atlantic. And then by Saturday evening, look, it's wet again in Florida. So if you have any plans down in the Sunshine State, Sunshine State not living up to its name recently with a lot of heavy rain. And then heavier showers will remain just offshore the west coast by Saturday evening. There will be some additional showers across parts of Minnesota by Saturday evening as well. But if you're going up Interstate 95, looking great as high pressure really, really dominates the mid-Atlantic up to New England for your Saturday. So looking great. Interstate 80 from Pennsylvania right on through Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, working our way. A little bit of scattered shower activity in eastern Iowa you may run into if you have travel plans. The Gulf Coast has a few scattered showers, but nothing super heavy on Interstate 10. All right, let's take a look at the forecast high temps for Saturday, 17 September. The hottest temperatures are going to be over Texas into Oklahoma and Kansas, where we could see readings in excess of 90 degrees tomorrow. Additionally, along the Gulf Coast, you're going to be looking at temperatures for highs generally between 87 and 90 degrees on the Interstate 10 corridor, from the Florida Panhandle right through southern Alabama, the Mobile area, into southern Mississippi on into the New Orleans area. Additionally, we see a hotter area across parts of southern Arizona into the deserts of California tomorrow. In fact, parts of Arizona will be close to 100 degrees, southern Arizona near 100 degrees in Phoenix tomorrow. Looking a little bit cooler as we head towards the Pacific Northwest, highs generally in the 70s, get to the higher elevations of the Rockies there, into Montana, Idaho, on down to Wyoming and Colorado. Your high temperatures will generally be in the 60s for your Saturday. 60s as well up across parts of North Dakota. Across the Midwest, Illinois, Iowa, and Indiana, it'll be a pretty warm day tomorrow, actually, for this time of year. Things should start to cool off by this point, but we see a high tomorrow of 84 in Chicago area and 88 in Peoria, all the way over to 82 degrees around Des Moines, Iowa. Kansas City tomorrow, sitting around 90 for a high. Indianapolis, generally around 85. And the same story continues into Ohio for Columbus, around 84 degrees tomorrow. Up the Interstate 95 corridor will also be very warm, generally from specifically the central North Carolina area southward. It's going to be pretty warm tomorrow with highs generally in the middle of the upper 80s. Now you get north of that North Carolina line into Virginia and the further north into New England, it's looking really pleasant for your day tomorrow if you got outdoor activities. Forecast low temperatures for Sunday the 18th of September. Now this is Saturday night and Sunday morning this weekend. Look where all the cooler temperatures are overnight. Washington, Oregon, as well as the higher elevations there, the Rocky Mountains. There's temperatures in the 30s by Sunday morning out there. In general, we have a little surge of warmer air across Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. Also, it's going to be a fairly warm morning across Iowa with overnight lows, and Sunday morning when you get up, temperatures generally in the middle to upper 60s. 60s as well in Illinois. The cooler temperatures for Sunday morning will be confined to Virginia, northward to Pennsylvania, New York State. And look at this up in northern New England. Some of those low temperatures for Sunday morning are going to be in the upper 30s to the low 40s for parts of Maine and New Hampshire and Vermont. So it is getting cooler and cooler as we progress deeper and deeper into September, and we're getting closer to the first official day of fall. Now, here's a major note I wanted to make in tonight's video. We are looking at a major cool down for the eastern United States, generally between the 23rd and 24th of September. So we're looking at next Friday and Saturday. So a week from today, we're looking at initially next Thursday, the 22nd. We're going to have a very strong cold front setting up. You can really see the delineation here, the line of the coloring. In the maroon coloring, we have temperature anomalies in degrees Fahrenheit here, by the way. Next Thursday, the 22nd, temperatures will be ranging anywhere from 15 to 20 degrees above normal up the Interstate 95 corridor, up the eastern seaboard, from Georgia up to the Carolinas and Virginia, as well as even parts of New England, New York City, Philly, as well as Newark, New Jersey, all the way up the coast. Temperatures are going to be running well above normal ahead of this cold front. Look at behind the cold front in the upper Midwest. Temperatures are going to be running 10 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit below normal for parts of Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, as well as the eastern Dakotas. So there is a major cool down. This frontal passage is going to make its way through. And I wanted to show you this right here. On the right, this is the 300 millibar wind speed forecast for, this would be next Friday morning, the 23rd of September. How do you get a cold front to really push through an area with ease? When you have the upper level winds like this. These are strong northwesterly winds, and you can see the wind speeds here are in excess of 100 knots across parts of the Midwest. And we got a northwesterly or more perpendicular wind component to the surface front, which shows up over here on this temperature anomaly chart. And so whenever you get a perpendicular wind component to a frontal boundary, it's going to help and assist in pushing that frontal boundary through rather readily. Looking at the extended upper air forecast, now I'm going to get into a talk here in a minute about the tropics. I want to start with this chart. This is the 500 millibar heights and anomalies in meters. This is for next Thursday evening, the 22nd of September. What's going on here? There is an upper level high that's positioned generally across parts of Oklahoma and Arkansas by late next Thursday, the 22nd. There will be a major sharpening of this trough. You can see these height contours, these black solid lines. They're really bending quite sharply across this trough axis. And generally we have lower than normal heights up across eastern Canada. And that's going to extend a little bit further toward the south and southeast into the parts of the mid-Atlantic. Additionally, if we look at here on the right, you'll notice now that things change. Now, I'm going all the way out to the 28th September time period, okay? This is what the latest ensemble models are showing. Now, we're looking at the European ensemble here. But in general, we see a major ridge setting up over British Columbia, that ridge axis, generally by the end of the month. And whenever you have this ridge developing, extending well to the north in the higher latitudes, you generally get on the downstream side of that much below normal heights and cooler temperatures across eastern Canada, working its way all the way down into the mid-Atlantic and the eastern seaboard by the end of the month. This is what we call a positive Pacific North American pattern, with an upper-level ridge over the western part of North America and a downstream trough over the eastern part of North America. So this is possible the last week of September. What would that result in is very much above normal temperatures across the Pacific Northwest into western Canada, and below normal temperatures from eastern Canada down into the eastern U.S. One other thing I want to mention, and I'll show you the slide here in a minute on the tropical update, but we do have a reflection of some sort of low pressure system at this point. You'll notice the positioning of this trough is going to be important because as this upper level trough pivots east, it very well could pick up this tropical cyclone Fiona and really cause Fiona to curve out to sea. So what are hurricanes looking for? They're looking for the path of least resistance. Okay, any low pressure area looks for the path of least resistance. Hurricane is also, that's an area of warm core, low pressure. So whenever you have a upper level trough interacting, if it digs deep enough, it will pick up. It will pick up the tropical cyclone, and this tropical cyclone will remain offshore of the eastern seaboard. Okay? That's the latest forecast, by the way. Now, here's the tropics, okay? This is what I want to get to. So on the left, I have the European 12Z model run from the 16th of September. And here is Fiona down just generally north of, just to the northeast of Hispaniola. By this point, and this is, by the way, this is next Wednesday evening, late in the evening. Okay, so we have a tropical system just sitting there over the water, just north of Hispaniola. And then we have these tighter packing of these red dashed lines, these thickness lines. And so this is associated with that strong cold front. It's going to drop down out of Canada. Along the leading edge of this cold front, you're going to see these showers and thunderstorms in the Midwest. This will be next Wednesday, late on the 21st of September. Now, like I said, if this cold front and then these upper trough, if they dig deep enough, they're going to basically help move this out in the weakness between the two ridges, the Bermuda High Ridge, that Bermuda Ridge, and then the upper high over the south central U.S. There's going to be a weakness right there with the trough axis, and if the cold front comes through, it'll help to steer the storm offshore. So we're looking at, here's the cold front late next Wednesday, the 21st of September, and then here's the GFS model for the same time period, by the way. So I just wanted to show a comparison of where Fiona is going to be. Now, there's crazy differences in the pressure. GFS tends to go crazy and make these hurricanes like super deep and super strong and super intense. It has a tendency to do that. Like, for example, 947 millibar hurricane over the Western Atlantic by late next Wednesday, the 21st. That's a GFS model. 947 millibar central pressure. Look at the European, 984, much weaker. Okay, so we have pretty much a major hurricane by this point, according to GFS, and then the European is further to the southwest, not moving as quick, it's slower, and it's at 984 millibar central pressure. So that's a huge difference. The intensity of these tropical cyclones really does matter. So overall, what I'm getting at here, we need to watch the timing of this approaching trough and the surface cold front. If that trough in front move quickly to the east coast, then the storm's going to most likely curve northeast out to sea. And that's actually what's happening right now in the latest model runs. The latest model runs are showing pretty much a deflection or a recurvature of whatever this is, a Fiona, whether it's a tropical storm or a hurricane curving out to sea. No threat to the east coast. So again, we just have to watch this. And then finally, to end tonight's video, the Hampton Roads local weather 7-day forecast, bringing it closer to home. Generally, look at this. I mean, we're in a drought across southeastern Virginia, and this is not going to help. Granted, we all love this wonderful weather to get out and enjoy the outdoor activities, but this is bad. This is bad news if you want some rain and get some moisture in the ground. Generally, partly to mostly sunny throughout the entire period, the next 7 days. And you'll notice tomorrow will be fairly comfortable on Saturday, but then as things start heating up a little bit as we work our way from Sunday to Thursday. Now, once that stronger cold front moves through, these temperatures by the end of the week, next Friday, especially Saturday, you're going to see a drop-off in these high temperatures as well as the low temperatures overnight. But again, it's very quiet. One note here before I go tonight, at the bottom here, teleconnections, my teleconnections discussion videos are going to return in October, and I'm also currently working on the official winter outlook video as well. There's a lot of things I'm really dissecting right now in determining what this winter could possibly look like for the United States. There is definitely some differences from what I've been looking at so far from last year to this year, and I'll definitely be breaking that winter outlook video down into probably 4 parts. I got quite a few slides and explanation. I'll go way more in depth in October for that winter outlook video. And again, teleconnections discussions, I'll resume my weekly teleconnections discussion videos as well as we get in October. Additionally, I do have one more part to my Spot on Weather, How the Weather Works training series. I do have it ready to go. It's on the climate, I kind of left off at 14A on the Spot on Weather YouTube channel. I have completed 14B, where we'll examine a much more closer look at the various climate classifications according to the Köppen system. And so looking forward to sharing that video. That'll be the last video in my training series. So a 14-part How the Weather Works training series, which I started in the summer, will come to a close shortly. But again, hope everybody enjoys my videos. I try to inform and I try to educate as much as I tell you what the weather is going to be. And that's all I've got for now, everybody. I'm certainly glad to, just very happy that you subscribe to the channel, and just very happy to share my knowledge with you all. And that's it. I hope everybody has a very pleasant evening and a very pleasant weekend as well. So until next time, everybody, we'll keep watching the tropics. Take care, and God bless everyone.